In the beginning, I would like to ask your feedback. I would like to ask you for your feedback on the quiz exam that you had on this past Monday. How was the experience? How did it go? I know there are some people who missed the exam. All right, Vajiha, you can turn on your camera in a couple of minutes. So, there are some people, SN Elias and one more student who missed the exam, and I asked them to talk to me about the missed exam in the end of the class. However, just your feedback. Well, how were MCQs? Were they too easy? Adnan, yes, you also missed your exam. I know that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So, I'll talk about your missed exam toward the end of the class. After everyone leaves, I'll talk to those students who missed their exam for any reason. All right. Please turn on your camera. Adnan Farooq, Fatmeen Shahid, Hassan, Daud, Mahnoor, Munisa, Umair, Arif, Wajiha. Everyone turn on your cameras. Last Wednesday, I recorded a lecture which was on feminism, and I uploaded it on Moodle. On Friday, in my class, I helped you prepare for the exam. Then you took your exam on Wednesday, and today we are here for another lecture, which is one of the last lectures for this semester. So today, in our today's class, we are going to, let me share my screen. In our today's class, we are going to learn schema theory. As you can see on the screen, I have written the name schema theory. And I have two slides. This is a very brief theory that we will discuss today. I wanted to focus on persuasion theories for the last lecture. This was the only topic which was left for learning from the syllabus. But I was asked by other faculty members in the department to specially focus on this theory that you see on the screen, schema theory. And the reason is that this theory is frequently used by students, especially students who engage in a research project or a thesis writing for their final year project. Persuasion theories, however, are not mostly used. However, instead of persuasion theories, we are focusing on schema theory for our today's lecture. Like I said, this is one of the last lectures that we will discuss. This is actually my second last lecture for this course. We'll have another class on Friday. Next week then is a last week of semester, but that does not mean that I will not have classes. I will have classes. I will come to every class. I will take your questions and I will help you get ready for your media journal, and its submission is due next week. Let's discuss first schema theory. In the meantime, those of you who still have their cameras off, please turn on your cameras, because if you do not, I will not consider your attendance.
Ma'am, I'm in my car with my family. That's why I cannot open the camera. Rest time available.
But why is it that you are not home at the class time? This time is allocated for studying.
मैम वो हम 10 बजे निकले थे, that's why. तो आते आते थोड़ा सा ज़रा टाइम लग गया.
Well, better you should have planned your classes accordingly.
Ma'am, that's why I turned on my data and I joined the class.
And for the rest of the students, please turn on your cameras. We're talking about schema theory. The word schema actually refers to an idea, a detail, an outline, or a sketch of something. Many times it happens that we have an outline or an idea of something that we have not experienced, but we do know how it feels like, or how it may feel like. I'll give you an example from my personal experience. Schema theory actually talks about this idea that people develop their understanding about an idea, an event, or anything in the context of experiences that they get from media, from other people, or from their own personal lives. I have never been to India, which is our neighbor country, but my grandparents, they migrated from India. They came from there. And I grew up listening to the stories of migration, not only the stories of migration, but also the stories of how India, our neighbor country, looks like. So I grew up with all these stories, and and not only that, I remember in my childhood, we would have visitors from India. When my grandparents migrated, they left many family members back in India, and they would visit us. Excuse me, there are people in the waiting room. They would visit us or every summer or winter, and they kept coming until I got to grade 8 or 9. They used to come to see my grandparents. So from all of that, I developed my understanding of what India is, although I've never been there. Not only that, I was born in India. Sorry, I was born in Kasur, which is a small city, only an hour drive apart from Lahore, and it's a city that shares border with India. So where the place where I lived, it was maybe only a mile apart, from India. And when in my childhood, I remember we in those days we didn't have dish antennas or cable TV systems. Instead, we used to have those antennas that we would put on wooden rods. And I remember through our antenna we would receive signals and reception of Doordarshan TV and Indian TV channels. So all of my understanding, my schema about India developed through my grandparents, through my media exposure of Doordarshan when I was in my childhood days. And even if I have not been to that country, I do have some understanding about India. If somebody asks me what is India to me it's a territory, a place that has similar climate, that has same sort of food, similar culture, similar clothing, and so many other things. So this is what we mean by schema theory. And here is my uh, next slide. Uh, I would like to share this information with you that schema theory was proposed by a British psychologist. Unlike other communication theories that were proposed by people who had disciplinary training of communication, schema theory actually was proposed by Frederick Bartlett, who was a psychologist. He was actually a cognitive psychologist. Cognition means understanding. He said that schema is an active organization of past reactions or of past experiences. I was just sharing my example of India with you, and to me, India, my understanding about the country India is based on my past experiences of hearing the details of country from my grandparents. And then he said, according to Frederick Bartlett, schemas are cognitive structures that people build up, structures that are abstracted from prior experience and used for processing new information and organizing further experiences. I just shared the example of the country India with all of you. Let me share another example. How many of you have the experience of traveling through train? Raise your hands, please. How many of you have ever done a journey through train? Hassan, Wajiha have raised their hands. Anyone else? Adnan has done that too. Anyone else? All right. So I traveled through train in my college days, and I used to travel when I was little. We had relatives. My mother's aunt lived in Rawalpindi, and I remember my parents. Whenever we would go there, my parents would get a train from Lahore airport, and we would travel to Pindi, which was not a very good service, by the way. And similarly, I once took a train from Jhang to Sargodha. I was my first posting when I started my career as a lecturer in the field of communication. My first posting was in the city of Sargodha, and I traveled using train. And I remember my brother, he was accompanying me. He insisted me not to go through train because he said that this is not a good experience. You will regret it. And I did regret, because it was, the train was so crowded, it was hard to get a seat. And not only that, the train went through dusty areas, and by the time I got to Sargodha, I was all dusty. I didn't have good experience. But when I was asking my children, they have never traveled through train. Once I asked them that, do you want to travel somewhere through train, and what do you think how it is going to be? In other words, I was asking my children about their schema for traveling on train. And they, to my surprise, they fantasize it, although they have never traveled on train. And their fantasy comes from movies. Both my children are fans of Harry Potter, and we all know that in Harry Potter there is a train, Hogwarts train, that seems quite fancy. It is guarded by dementors. Not only that, the train, there is a woman who comes up with a trolley, and she sells chocolate bars, candies, and so many other things, and children can have fun. And my children also have developed the same schema from their media exposure. So my schema of a travel on train is quite different from my children's experiences. And this is how we develop our schemas, and this is what we mean by schema theory. Now I'll stop here to take your questions if you have any. And with that, I would also like you to share your examples of your schema. If you have any schema related to any event, anything in your surroundings, related to, let's say, a restaurant, a vacation place, or anything. Would anyone else like to share any experience of a schema? We develop schemas potentially about everything. Schema about war on terror, schema about friendship with India, schema about gender representation on TV. Schemas are actually sort of outlines that we have in our mind, and we develop them on the basis of our experiences. And then when we further see media events on TV, screen, radio, wherever, they further help us strengthen our understanding. I'll give you another example. My schema of the current government, and especially the current prime minister in Pakistan, is that he is an incompetent person. He vowed us so many things, and he couldn't keep his promises, because first of all, he had he didn't have a good team, and then especially on economic front, he has disappointed us. But my father's schema of the current prime minister is entirely different from my own schema, and his schema is based on his experiences. That something that schema theory proposes. Let me explain how. A couple years ago, one of my aunts, and she's sort of my father's sister, she was diagnosed with cancer. She's a widow, and her children, she has children, as 3 children as well, but all her children were married, and they were settled in their lives. And now my aunt was discovered with cancer at a stage where when she had nobody around to help her, even financially. And my father accompanied her to Shaukat Khanam hospital for her treatment, and there she was given very good treatment. Her treatment was totally free of charge. And there he also observed that people get treatment regardless of their religion, regardless of culture, regardless of their economic background. They treat patients with equality. Now that is something that helped my father develop his schema related to the current prime minister, and that's what this theory says. When you take a look at the content, that it says that an active organization of past reactions or of past experiences. This is the main postulate of schema theory, and this is how it helps us develop our schemas. Now I'll stop here to take your questions further, or would anyone like to share any experience, any schema? that you would like to share? Adnan, please turn on your camera and keep it on for the whole time. Afroz, you as well. Maliha, Shafkat Ali, Nimra, better please turn on your cameras. All right. Would anyone like to share any example of schema that you have, that you already have in your mind? Hassan or Maida? Maida joined a little late, but I'm not sure if she has developed any understanding.
Ma'am, I actually forgot we have a class today. I'm really sorry.
That's okay. I recorded the session and I'll upload a recording of this session on Moodle shortly after I finish the class.
Yeah, I'll make sure to check it out. Thank you.
Any other? Were you all able to understand schema theory? Daud?
Yes, ma'am.
Daud usually is very vocal in class. Today he is silent. Anyone else? Anyways, so with this I have finished.
मैम हैंड फ्री ढूंढ रहा था मैं एक मिनट मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि जो परसेप्शन है उसे स्कीमा कहेंगे
Yes, not perception. Perception is something that is related to experience. Here we are perception is something that is related to understanding. Here we are talking about experiences. You experience something and then you develop your schema. Your schema is a model and outline that you have in your mind, which is related to your experiences. That is schema. Hassan, you raise your hand. Go ahead, please.
Yes, ma'am. When I was growing up in my 14 and 15, I used to watch political shows and political articles in the newspaper. So, excuse me, please. My apologies for the inconvenience, मैम. Yes, तो उस वक्त जो था हम सोचते थे कि इमरान खान जो एक अच्छा लीडर साबित होगा क्योंकि वो काफ़ी अच्छी बातें उस वक्त लगती थी उसकी और फिर जिस तरह उसने नमल यूनिवर्सिटी एस्टेब्लिश की थी या जिस तरह शौकत खानम किया था या जिस तरह ज़लज़ले में उसने 10,000 घर बनाए थे मुझे उस वक्त ये लगता था कि ये एक अच्छा एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर साबित हो सकता है क्योंकि वो एक अच्छी तरीके से चीज़ें कर रहा था लेकिन मतलब वो एक सारी जो बबल जो बर्स्ट हो गया जब वो पावर में आया क्योंकि गवर्नेंस के मसले बिल्कुल वो उस तरह नहीं चला सका जिस तरह वो अदारे चलाता रहा तो ये मेरा एक एक्सपीरियंस था स्कीमा का.
Very good. So earlier you had an experience that was your schema. However, your later experiences changed that schema. And I went through the same situation. I think he took really good initiatives, especially establishing a cancer hospital. Before that, we didn't have any cancer hospital. And today, even for many patients, cancer, the treatment of cancer is free. This is something which is to his credit. However, governing a country is something that different. And to me, and your opinion can be different from mine. To me, we have seen really a sort of poor governance in his regime. Very good example. I'm going to ask you a question which is related to application of knowledge that you have learned in this course. We are finishing our syllabus now. Let me ask you this question. What will you do in a situation? Let's say you opt for the course MCOM 499, which is final year project, usually known as FYP, and you are asked to select a theory. Let's say you are writing a thesis, you're writing a dissertation, and you are asked to develop a chapter of theoretical framework. So how would you determine what theory is suitable to the topic that I have chosen? How will you do that? Now that you have read all the theories during the whole semester, how will you decide what theory seems applicable?
मैम एक दफा प्लीज रिपीट कर दें.
Okay, my question is, let's say after you finish this course, you opt for the course MCOM 499. Has anyone read this course already? Has anyone studied it? MCOM 499, which is final year project where you either work on a documentary or you write a thesis. So let's say you opt for thesis writing. And in thesis writing, you have to develop a full-fledged chapter of theoretical framework. Suppose you are studying women representation in media. How will you decide what theory is applicable to the area that you have chosen? How will you decide? How will you determine? You have read a number of theories. Starting from the semester, we have studied so many theories. How will you decide which theory is applicable to the area that I am studying? Can anyone name theories that you have studied? Magic bullet,
Yes, ma'am.
agenda setting
Yes.
theory, spiral of silence theory, media determinism, phenomenistic
Knowledge
theory,
Knowledge gap.
knowledge gap, very good. Cultivation,
Propaganda,
topic
Theory.
effect,
theory,
media
feminist,
effect.
very good, media effects, feminist theory, all of that.
Socialism.
आपको ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए. Shouldn't you do that you open up your course outline, you sit and you take a look at the list of all the theories that are given, and then you decide, okay, maybe this theory is applicable, let's read this and see if this is applicable to my situation. Shouldn't you do that? Shouldn't this be your approach?
Yes, so
ma'am.
like we should read up, no, like about theories.
Yeah. Another thing, let me share my screen. Wait a minute. Let me share my screen again. All right. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Yes, ma'am.
remember when I gave you midterm exam, which was related to knowledge gap hypothesis, I asked you to do some research on this journal. This is a journal which is published by Oxford University Press. It's one of the very prestigious journals. And if, for example, you want to find out something on cultivation theory, I just wrote it in the search bar here and I hit the search button. All right.
मैम नजर नहीं आ रहा.
It took me to another page. Can you see cultivation theory at the top?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I am stopping this screen sharing. Let me do that again. Can you all see my screen now? I just started sharing my screen again.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
This is the journal. This is the search bar on the top. I wrote cultivation theory here and it gave me many examples, many articles that were written on cultivation theory. This article appeared in 2017. This seems to be the newest one. Similarly, this particular article was written in 1995. This particular article is studying advancement in this field. This is how I think you can do your research. If you remember, we did the same practice for you for our midterm exam. I think I prepared you to search up theories. If you ever need to find out what theory is applicable for my assignment, for my dissertation, for my conference paper, or for my PhD, or for my higher studies, if you are applying for MPhil proposal or anything. So this is how you can decide what theory is applicable, what theory is suitable for your context. I am stopping the sharing of my screen and I'll start it again because I want to share another. No, not this. Okay. Let me do that again because I went to the wrong page mistakenly. All right. Can you all see my screen again?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. This is, you see this URL, this website address, communicationtheory.org. By the way, this is a URL that is already mentioned in your course outline. And I have discussed this several times in the class. I have referred to this several times in the class. When you look at the top of the screen, there is a linked list of theories. When you hit this link, it took me to another page. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You see list of theories. Now they have given list of theories in different areas, theories related to advertising, public relations, marketing, and consumer behavior. And they are all given in alphabetical order. When you further scroll it down here, they have given theories related to business communication. Further scroll it down, journal communication theories, effective communication, effective listening skills, types of communication, what is communication, why do we communicate, and keep scrolling it down. You see theories related to communication barrier. If you remember, we did this in MCOM 310, semantic barriers, physical environmental barriers, barriers to effective communication. And then there are theories related to communication and practice communication models. This is what we did in MCOM 310, DeFlore's model, Berlow's model, gatekeeping theory, George Gerbner's model, Laswell's model, all of propaganda model, SMCR model, Shannon and Weaver's model. Further scroll it down, these are again cultural theories, media dependency, knowledge gap, cultivation theory, the spiral of silence theory, theories related to development communication, diffusion of innovation theory. This is a theory that we did in MCOM 310 in detail. And then theories related to mass communication. In this course, I have specially focused on theories related to mass communication because many of our students, when they are developing their final year projects, they tend to develop their research within mass media paradigm, agenda setting theory, authoritarian theory, functions of mass comm, gatekeeping theory, Gerbner, knowledge gap, Laswell, libertarian, limited effects theory, magic bullet, media system dependency theory. And you see normative theories, 4 theories of the press, 2-step flow theory, spiral of silence, uses and gratifications, and there are much more. This is a wonderful source, and I think you should all take advantage of it for any of your future project. This means if you are working on your MCOM 499 project, or if you are preparing yourself for higher studies in MPhil, or if you are looking for a theory to work on a class assignment. So these 2 forums that I have just shown you are going to be helpful. This was about the application of this course. Let me ask you another question, and anyone can answer, but I would particularly like Maliha Shafkat, Fatmeen Shahid to answer, and Adnan Farooq to answer this question. You have read a number of theories in this course. You have learned a number of theories, a variety of theories. Imagine a situation that you go for a job interview, and or you are going to the field of mass communication as a journalist, as a media person, and now how do you think what skill you have learned in this course that is going to be helpful for you for your professional needs? What skills have you learned here? Ji, Afroz, Adnan, would anyone who would like to answer? What skills have you learned in this course of MCOM 409?
मैम इसमें हमने ये देखा है कि हम कैसे कोई भी चीज होती है तो उसको डिग डाउन कर सकते हैं। कोई भी अगर कोई स्टेटमेंट है तो उसके पीछे क्या पर्पस है, उसके पीछे
Very
वो
good.
पर्पस को जानने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं। अगर कोई भी पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा है उसको देखने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं। अगर कोई भी इसके मतलब को पीछे बैकग्राउंड में क्या चल रहा है उसको समझने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं।
Shabash. Daud answered that this course has helped him develop analytical ability. Is that so, Daud? You can analyze things better because this course helps you develop your analytical ability. Not only that, your critical thinking ability. You can think about things deeply and critically. That's what Daud was saying, that we can see things deep down. Hassan has raised his hand. Ji Hassan.
यस, दाऊद की बात वही कंटिन्यू मैं करूंगा आगे। इसमें हमने देखा है कि प्रोपेगेंडा किस तरह किया जाता है। ठीक है, मतलब जरूरी नहीं कि आप गलत ही प्रोपेगेंडा करें, आप एक पॉजिटिव प्रोपेगेंडा कह सकते हैं किसी चीज के लिए। ये एक प्रोफेशनल स्किल है जो मैंने सीखा है। और इसके अलावा मुझे ये पता चला है कि मीडिया अब अगर अपने पर्पस को सर्व नहीं कर रहा, इंफॉर्मेशन देना पब्लिक को उसका जो पहला अवलीन मकसद यही होना चाहिए। लेकिन मीडिया चूंकि अब चला गया नॉर्म चॉम्स्की के मुताबिक और दूसरे स्कॉलर्स के मुताबिक एक प्राइवेट हाथों में चला गया, तो उसका सबसे पहला मकसद इंफॉर्मेशन देने की बजाय रेवेन्यू जनरेट करना या पैसे कमाना होता है। तो ये भी समझ आई है चीजों की कि किस तरह आप एक गलत चीजें किए बगैर भी आप कर सकते हैं, मतलब सनसनी वगैरह या येलो जर्नलिज्म को छोड़ के भी आप कुछ तरीके हैं जिनसे आप मतलब अच्छी रेटिंग्स और ये चीजें कर सकते हैं टू सर्व द पर्पस ऑफ प्राइवेट मीडिया। और इसके अलावा बहुत सी चीजें हैं, मतलब जो प्रोफेशनली एक स्किल्स की समझ आई है कि कोई अगर काम हो रहा है तो उसके पीछे रीजन क्या हो सकती है। मीडिया अगर ये चीज कर रहा है तो उसके पीछे मतलब कौन सी उसकी एक खास जहनीयत है उस काम के पीछे।
Very good. Hassan is saying that this course has helped him develop sophisticated ways of thinking. And by that, he means, for example, he understood propaganda, the process, how propaganda happens. And he understood that process. Now, his learning in propaganda, his learning in other theories has actually enabled him to be a better journalist, to be a better media person. Because when you understand a function properly, and when you know the details, the nitty-gritty information, the intricacies that are involved, you are in a better position to take better choices, informed choices. So this is how your learning from this course makes a difference. Gee, anyone else? Good job, very good, Hassan. Your analysis was very strong. Adnan, Ji Adnan.
Ma'am, by learning these theories, uh, I can be in the target I have will be achieved through the theories that I'll be in the guidance of these theories and be professional to decide.
I am not sure if I clearly understood what you said, but what I have understood from the fragments that you shared is that these theories are sort of give you a guiding principle.
Yes.
Okay, how we should operate as journalists in given circumstances. These theories provide us guiding principles. First of all, this is a very solid point. And these theories help one become a better journalist. What was the last part that you said, Adnan?
Ma'am, I'll be professional. Professionally, I can deal. Professionally, I can deal.
Very good. So he came up with 2 points that these theories provide us. First was that these theories provide us guiding principles, and the second was that these theories help us develop professionalism, becoming better professionals. एक बात याद रखें, in every course you should be able to identify that what this course has given me, what have I learned from this course, what skill this course has given me. Your learning from your university education should be skill based. If you are developing creativity, if you are developing critical thinking ability, if you are developing analytical ability, all of this is something that is needed in the job market, in profession, in higher studies, then this course has really been helpful for you. You should be asking this question to yourself critically in every course. And if you do not, then maybe your parents have invested in you. They have invested energy, money, and so many other things. So then do not fail yourself by just taking things for granted. All right. Would anyone like to, would anyone else like to share anything?
Can I say?
Gigi, go ahead. Somebody spoke.
मैम मी जी हाँ
Gigi.
मैम जैसे कि इस कोर्स में ना हमने मीडिया को बहुत ज़्यादा स्टडी किया है, मीडिया के बारे में। और जैसे कि मेरा तो मेजर भी यही है मैस कम्युनिकेशन, और मैं आगे किसी भी फील्ड इसी फील्ड में किसी जॉब में जाऊंगी मीडिया की, तो आई थिंक आई वुड हैव द बेस्ट लॉजिक रीजनिंग और ऑब्जेक्टिविटी, plus I have done research, so I have research skills. So it would help me in my field.
Shabash. Vajiha was of the view that this course has helped her develop her research skills, and not only that, if you develop logic and reasoning, that is also, I think, one of the learnings, because university teaching should enable you to think logically. Have you ever seen people who cannot even think straight? You ask them a question, and when you listen to their answer, you keep thinking, what is he talking about? Where is this answer even taking me? So this should be a characteristic of university teaching, that it enables you to think straight, to think logically, to be convincing, and to come up with reasoning. All right, very good. I with today's lecture, I have finished but everything. However, in my next class, we will discuss the future of communication and communication theories. I'm going to write something in the chat box. If I say, pay attention to my statement. All right, I just wrote a statement and I'm sending it to everyone. Communication is an ever-changing field. Would anyone like to disagree with this argument?
No,
Communication.
ma'am.
Okay, communication is a field that keeps changing. How?
मैम पहले था कि जो सिर्फ वन वे कम्युनिकेशन था, अब
Yes.
2 वे कम्युनिकेशन है, लेकिन अब जो अगला मैम नेक्स्ट वेब 3 का जो हम कह रहे हैं कि वेब 3 आ रही है, उसमें ये होगा कि हम ना सिर्फ कम्युनिकेट करेंगे, कम्युनिकेट हो भी सकते हैं, अपने आप को टेलीपोर्ट भी कर सकते हैं, मतलब एक जगह बैठे हुए दूसरी जगह, जैसे हम बात कर रहे हैं, ये अभी भी मैं 1-2 साल पहले ये कॉन्सेप्ट आया कि हम एक जगह बैठे हुए कि दूर जाकर भी बात कर सकते हैं
शाबाश.
और ऑर्गेनाइज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अब जो अगला फेज आ रहा है उसके अंदर हम ओन भी कर सकेंगे.
Very good. Maida, you raise your hand. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, ma'am. I just wanted to say, because of the technology, because the technology keeps changing. We get new innovations every Friday, I guess. So I think because of technology and then its nature of changing or evolving, I think that's why communication keeps evolving as well.
Very good. Communication is an ever-changing field. Because technology keeps coming, new sites, social media. Earlier, Facebook, there was Facebook, and now we have scores of forum. Facebook is not the only forum. We have scores of social media forum. There is TikTok, there is Snapchat, there is Twitter, there is Tumblr, and so many others that I cannot even name. So communication is an ever-changing field, and Daud raised another very good point, that we are not at the receiving end anymore. Earlier, there used to be just one TV channel, and we would watch the drama. I think I can, if I ask you this question, that do you have any YouTube channel, or have you ever created a video or posted on Facebook? Maybe almost all of you will raise your hands. We are not at the receiving end anymore. We are also taking part in the production process. So communication is an ever-changing field. With that, communication, we need to discuss its future. Do you think that theories that we have discussed, they need to be revised? They need to be modified, they need to be updated considering the modern needs of communication? Do you think there is need for that?
Yes, absolutely, ma'am.
Very good. Yes. We have focused for our subject, we have largely focused on mass communication, but there are also theories related to interpersonal communication. When students come to class, they engage in group communication, interpersonal communication, and that was changed after pandemic. We moved to online communication. And what theories we look at? We do not have any theory for online communication. Maybe we need to revise theories on interpersonal communication. These are the concepts that we will discuss in the next class in the coming week. The next week is going to be the last week for the semester, but this does not mean that we will not have classes. I will come to the class only to take your questions related to your media journal. I have already shared the deadlines with you. The submission will begin on January 14 and February 14 and February 18 is the last day when you can do submission. Your submission will happen on Moodle. I owe you an apology. I have not shared your midterm results with you. I have been quite busy lately. Give me just a couple more days and I will try to get it to you by Friday. And I have also told you what we are going to do on Friday. If you have any question, you can ask me now. Another case, I'll do your attendance and then I'll dismiss the class. Any question?
मैम जो हमारे जो क्विज हुए हैं उसके मार्क्स को बेहतर करने के लिए कोई असाइनमेंट दे दें, कोई इस तरह की बोनस?
But I'm sorry, I cannot, because it will. I want to have a uniform policy for all my students. All my students are very important. If I give anybody a chance, this means I'll have to give everyone a chance. But I haven't started compiling the result yet. Let me begin with that process. If I see that a majority did not perform well in the quiz, then I may think about that option. But if it's only just one or two students, then it will be unlikely. Does this answer your question?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, but you were a good student. You shouldn't be worried about. How was your last quiz that you took?
Ma'am, वो ठीक नहीं ना हुआ इस वजह से.
So let's see what can be done. But again, there are very slim chances that I will give another chance. There are very slim chances. Let's see how things unfold. I haven't started compiling the grade yet, but I'll be beginning that next week. Okay. All right. Nimra, she's here. Maida Abbas is here. Nagam, Abiha Ahmed, Afroz, Muhammad Hassan Ilyas, Maliha Shafkat.
Yes, ma'am.
Shahmir Ali, Basam Altaf, Umair Arif, Wajiha is here.
Yes,
Ma'am.
Umair Arif is here. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Shah Murad, Yashfa, Fasi Chaudhary, Rachel David. Rachel is here. Muhammad Daud is here. Adnan Farooq is here.
Present.
Usman Ghani, Sayyid Usman Murtaza, Tabrez, Yasir Iqbal, Zaryab Khan, Hassan Mahmood. Hassan is here. Hamad Rahim, Muhammad A. Raza, Nuris Rahman, Danial Riaz, Umar Riaz, Fatmeen Shahid, Mahnoor Tariq. Mahnoor is here. Munisa.
Present.
Muhib Zahid. All right. Thank you, everyone. I am going to stop.
Ma'am,
Gigi.
I wanted to ask